In the video game market, fighting games are considered one of the most engaging, matured, and popular categories in the whole medium. Originating from the mid-80s, the genre's true rise to popular culture relevancy wouldn't begin until 1991, saw Capcom's Street Fighter II dominate arcades and consoles. With its revolutionary combo system and large cast of unique characters, since then the genre has seen tremendous growth. But one of the most outstanding criticisms against the fighting game community, aka FGC, is how difficult they are for newcomers to get into. Beyond physically training in practice rooms, there is also a proverbial wall of absurd phrases and terms that newcomers need to decipher first before they can begin to climb the mountain of improvement. This is where the Fighting Game Glossary comes in, a website developed by fighting game veteran Infill with the purpose of compiling and defining various fighting game vernacular across many games to better educate new players unfamiliar with whatever terminology they may come across. Since its launch in 2021, the site has seen much use by both newbies seeking knowledge, veterans attempting to educate their fellow competitors, and content creators praising its usability. The Fighting Game Glossary may have received mass adoption and praise from the FGC, but does that mean it's a Mona Lisa of web design, suitable for use by anyone and everyone? To assess the quality of its design, I'll be using the judging criteria provided by the Webby Awards, which asserts a good website must include intuitive navigation, engagingly voiced content, relevant visual design, high functionality, user interactivity, and unique innovations that all come together to create a pleasing overall experience. So at the top of this site's title banner, at the top of this site is its title banner, and below is the navigation bar for other tools and related information. This includes a page with links to donate and support the creator, stats and updates that catalog the progress of and improvements made to the site's content, credits for contributors, contact information with a Google form to submit feedback, instructions on how to implement and use chatbot versions of the site, and finally, links to the author's other works. You'll notice that when switching to a new page, the user's position is reflected in the navigation bar via a bolding and highlighting of the page's name, and a small arrow pointing up towards the current page. This is a subtle but clear method of communicating to the user where they are in relation to the overall website. Furthermore, the user can always rely on the nav bar to indicate their location because it always remains in the same position. That is the very top of the page. Even if the user scrolls far down and away from it, they can easily be redirected back to the top back to the top button, but in this case, it's a home button. These extra pages could have easily been neglected considering how much of an afterthought they are compared to the main content. But clear thought was placed into how the occasional user may need or want to explore and interact with these utility pages, evidenced by these tiny details. Back on the homepage, the website's main content is shown below, with a typable search bar and several filter buttons under it. A sun and moon button for swapping between light and dark modes is provided next to it, which is always a highly requested feature by gamers accustomed to Discord's non-eye-straining palette. A random term of the day welcomes visitors and acts as an example of the type of content they can find here. This homepage can be described in one word: simple. But in this case, simple is not really a bad thing. In Don't Make Me Think, Steve Krug identifies what a homepage should contain and their purpose in informing the user of what to expect. The site's identity and mission, hierarchy of main content and alternative features, and search bar for content seekers are all front and center, with the goal of cluing in the user. Infill's glossary is really just a glorified dictionary with some extra tricks. Dictionaries don't have extravagant cover pages like magazines, or epic illustrations like novels, but present what they are plain and simple. This is further reflected in the overall visual design of the site, a legible but distinguished black font on the distinguishable black font on a basic white background, blue underscores for navigational elements and orange highlights for unique terms, and also links when they're hovered, and these colors are reversed when switching between light and dark mode. In Less is More: Fundamentals of Minimalist Web Design, Kurt Ziegler states, "There is no good reason to choose design over usability. They will work together perfectly if executed properly. A well-designed, easy-to-use site will keep visitors around longer and fulfill the site's ultimate purpose of displaying your content and delivering your message effectively. So in this regard, both the homepage and overall visual design perfectly conveys its message and capabilities to the user through this simple but effective preview of what to expect. If I were to make one change, above the term of the day, I'd have a permanent definition for the fighting game glossary, which gives a quick description of the site's purpose with an expandable link to this quick promotional video that Intel has already made. This would comedically and thematically demonstrate a common situation for when the site would be useful and serves as a meta definition joke example type thing. So users can locate terms using one of three possible methods, the most prominent of which is the search bar. This is the straight-to-business method for people who know what specific thing they are after and just want its definition ASAP. Alternatively, if they don't know the exact name of the term, but at least know the first letter, then the alphabetical order buttons will filter the results down for them. Finally, users can filter by game series. This is especially useful for intermediate players who are seeking a lot of knowledge all at once. For example, a Smash player who already knows the basics of tilts and short hops, but now wants to learn all the pro-level terms like DI and tippers before his first tournament. If the term is exclusive to any game, then that series' icon will appear next to its name, denoting the exclusivity. This shows a clear understanding and accommodation for the different types of users that may utilize this glossary. Hasty veteran searchers, not fully familiar newcomers, and intermediates eager to make the transition are all accommodated. Content is king, and as the Webby Awards put it, good content takes a stand. It has a voice and a point of view. It may be informative, useful, or funny, but it always leaves you wanting more. The descriptions for these terms are both detailed and accommodating, often providing insight into the community origins of the term. In an interview with Infil, he states, quote, "In my work, I try to make a point to have a conversational, casual tone of voice, as if you asked your friend a question, not in some dry, encyclopedic way approved by a board." Infil's voice in these definitions is distinct and engaging to its readers. But sometimes mere words may not be able to fully illustrate an interactive game concept. When this is the case, supplemental material is provided, such as expandable images, video examples, and links to external sources. Additionally, the Japanese spelling and pronunciation for the term are included. Since most fighting games have large followings hailing from Japan, it isn't uncommon for users to actually first learn a term from a Japanese-speaking pro or streamer. This is another example of an awareness and accommodation for a separate faction of the site's audience, considering Infil is part of that section himself. The button on the right links to the terms independent page to make sharing the specific definition easier. If the definition contains any terms that could also be foreign to newcomers, these words are underlined and can be clicked to bring up the definition underneath the current term, forming a chain of related definitions. These new definitions can be removed by simply clicking the X next to them, or alternatively skipped by clicking the back to top button below. This extending feature is one of the useful innovations that separates Infil's glossary from previous attempts at the same product. Being able to learn about frames, the data, and safeness, all without having to search them separately. It really streamlines the whole process and encourages users to keep exploring the rabbit hole of related terms. Another innovation I mentioned earlier was the chatbot integration for both Twitch streams and Discord servers. This effectively gives users quick access to specific definitions without the need to open a brand new tab and search for it themselves. Although this innovation is not technically a part of the site directly, it does bring additional traffic to it and shows Infil knows its target audience and that they just want answers to their own questions with no hassle or friction. And he's created a method to draw people to his site from external sources, which is something not a lot of other sites can say about themselves. In terms of interactivity, there really isn't much beyond the highlighting of hovered elements and the extending feature. And the quick link share button is also part of it, I would say. The closest to this is the feedback section that allows users to submit corrections or suggestions for new terms to be added at the creator's discretion. This lack of an interactive feature really shouldn't be counted against the glossary, as it would simply distract from the primary purpose of it. Nobody complains that the dictionary doesn't have a comments section after all. Since the site is so simple, it's no question that its functionality is fantastic, with no possibility for loading snags or visual errors across browsers. The mobile version of the site does have some alterations to adapt to the vertical format, this being the condensing of the navigation bar into a menu button next to the banner. Having these nav options hidden away is honestly probably for the better, as most mobile users who just want a quick term search between matches or stream ad breaks, they would never even consider opening the contact page. Regardless, all the other content features work just well on mobile, as well, they work just as well as they do on a desktop. So don't worry, you can keep doom scrolling the night away by extending more and more definitions just all right. So in conclusion, the fighting game glossary's website design is simple but effective. It knows all its different types of possible users and accommodates all their needs just fine. Although it looks like it could use a bigger splash of color, it really wouldn't be worth the risk of a straightforward conveyance of the site's content and message. The FGC wouldn't have mass adopted the glossary if the website's design wasn't effective to fit their purpose.